Well, hello everybody.
Hi, how you doing? What you got for these fine people?
What are we talking about today?
Oh,
The otter news
the
of
otter.
the Otter Creek. Or is
Yeah.
that Otter Creek? Otter Creek?
Yeah. They might be renaming the town, have you heard?
I have heard a few whispers about that.
And I've always said it. I said it like a year ago in jest, but I never really said it on camera, I don't think.
No,
But,
I don't think, a lot of different things have been said that have been thought.
Because I believe it was Lynette and John that said, Your Honor, you don't understand. Tubetown is coming. And what do you know? Tubetown came.
Right.
Well, now I'm saying, could it be Zimtown? Does it have a ring to it? I bet to Zim it does.
I bet it does.
So
It's a whole lot of wow going on.
There's a whole lot of notes to get through here. Like we got a whole page here. But who's been buying up all the property in Otter Creek? Because I hear people saying, well, Jeremy's trying to buy up all the property.
Yeah, I remember them talking about who were the big landowners everybody was
Right.
talking about way back when. But I don't think anybody was really paying attention to who in that town was buying up all the land when they started talking about that highway coming through there.
Yeah.
And that was Zim. He bought up a lot of property and he even wanted more. But he bought the place across the street from his house.
The one with the burnt house.
Yeah, he bought that one.
Mm-hmm.
He also bought that little L shape that goes in between his property, the post office, and where the trading post is. So it's like a little driveway in between there. He owns that.
Yeah.
He also had bought a little spot, I do believe that's right on 19 on the other side of the trading post, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
I think it's very small.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he owns. He was trying to get part of that strip on that street on the back side of his RV park, but I don't think he ever got that. But he was trying to also acquire that where the train depot was that Mr. Martin owned.
Yep.
There was some whispers that he got that, but I don't know that he did.
Yeah.
Because he was also trying to buy the clam shack, wasn't he?
Yep, the clam shack is what they always called it. It's now not a clam shack anymore.
But that's the other property that Robert Martin owned.
Right, and it backs up to Shady Oaks. It's across a big ditch. They're right backed up, and they would share a border with Shady Oaks.
But I know there was a lot of talk where Mr. Martin was getting older, and I think he was putting a home. And there was another gentleman living on his property that was supposed to be taking over the property.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if he was also getting the train depot, but I know there was talk that Zim wanted both of those properties, but I don't know if he ever did get the train depot or not.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Or what he would even do with that, I'm not sure.
There were whispers of another larger parcel that we won't talk about.
Well, he was also trying to buy some of what the timber company owns, because he did want to put in apartments or houses there.
Mm-hmm. And that's adjacent to his property. It's across that back road, right?
I'm not sure. The timber company owns lots of
a
different...
lot of property, yes.
So I'm not sure exactly which tract he was talking about there, but he has bought a lot of different properties and wanted to buy even more properties in that town.
And he's talking about developing them. He's not just talking about acquiring them to have, a nature
just sitting
place.
Around now.
Right. He wants to develop them. That's what he is. He's a developer.
So that's when we started joking about Zimtown way back when all this talk was going on, but now it kind of seems like
it's more realistic. It's coming to fruition
from the behaviors that are going on. I'm a little bit shocked, but not shocked, if that makes any sense.
And I'm speaking from a Shady Oaks campground investor. That I wasn't, I wasn't, and I still am not against him developing the area. I'm just against his manner in which he's talking to other people about what they can do on their property. That's not his lane. He needs to stay in his lane. It's okay to get, like, there was a lot of comments, and I've even made comment to it, where he just got on the board so he could get his permits pushed through easier. And it does help with the permitting process. You still got to follow all the rules. You just don't have to convince as many people when you have the township there to do your permits. So there's nothing wrong with that. That happens in a lot of small towns where people don't like what's happening in their town. They want to get on the board to try to get things changed, move a little more in their direction. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're trying to overimpose your will on other people's property,
if you're blocking other
Right.
people from doing business, that is absolutely wrong.
right?
I think there's enough money and properties for everybody to be doing something. I mean, you shouldn't be trying to monopolize everything. You should want growth for other people.
Yeah. So that's the only problem we have with Zimtown.
So I'm a little floored by the new things that are going on.
Just the way he's doing it.
Yeah, it's
very-
unbelievable.
It's very Russell-like.
And a lot of people have made comment that all the things he's doing are very Russell-like, with blocking people from doing stuff, with creeping around the town, and all these other things that people are saying is going on now.
So I guess let's start at the top. As we know, we lost some people on the board, and we lost some clerks and bookkeepers, those two together, I guess. And what happened? What happened? So everyone kind of thought the same thing, and we kind of thought the same thing. What happened? Oh, this must have happened. So we do have confirmation from several sources. The sources are not important. You can put those pieces together for yourself. But there was, Jason was the clerk, and he was working with Willis trying to get this permit. And I believe Belinda was there, and they were communicating this, and Zim came in, and he was totally against it. And an argument ensued, and Carl got involved, and everyone kind of lost their headspace. And people basically didn't just threaten to leave, they left. So in all of that, and we don't have all the details, and all the details are not really important. The main thing is there was a big disagreement about.
Well, the detail that is important is that the people left because they were not going to do things that were wrong.
Correct.
So that tells me that Zim is doing things that are wrong.
He's overstepping.
And I'm happy and proud of the people who didn't go along with it, because that is 100% wrong. So it's just sad to hear and see.
Mm-hmm.
But I could understand if Travis was doing things wrong. And we know he wasn't. He was trying to get things explained to him to do it correctly 100%,
Right. And the
which is
town-
what the board should do.
That's what the board should do. It's like, okay, they shouldn't be the one to stop your progress. They're just telling you the legal way to do it.
Right.
Here's what you need to do.
Guided growth.
Guided growth, and they're supposed to help you with the forms, help you with the sequencing of the permits. The problem, the town doesn't have a laid out list that I've seen or noticed. They didn't have it when we were there. They don't have it now. There's not a list of things. This is what you got to do. Boom, 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 boom. Because Russell did that to me. But he pulled it out of his hindquarter, three-quarter contact. He just made it up. It's like, oh, well, you need, and it was really literally a paper list of things I needed to do. So the list changed depending on who was requesting the permit. So if it's somebody he doesn't like, here's the long laundry list. And the engineered drawings is how you shut anything down, because it's cost prohibitive. And even Zim ran into some problems getting his engineered drawings, and the cost of those drawings kept getting changed and altered, and the costs were going up. And I don't know an exact number, but I remember a $30,000-$40,000 number being thrown out there just for drawings for retention ponds. And it's because there's only one or two engineers in the area, and they don't even want to touch Otter Creek. And so you almost have to pay them off kind of to get their attention to put your work on top of everybody else's work in the county that they're doing. So it's kind of that kind of system. And I looked into that too, and expanding the park and giving thought to a retention pond, that I could do more. You know, I could put a laundry room in, I could do all these things. But it was just so cost prohibitive. It would never have gotten that money back.
Well, I think the bigger problem was there wasn't even room.
It wasn't room.
Because you have to have a large area to do the retention ponds. So where would you have even put them?
Yeah.
You would have had to cut out a lot of spaces, so you're almost shooting yourself in the foot. How can you expand when you got to cut out?
Now, this is really off topic, but if you'll give me a few minutes, because I'm afraid at the end I would forget to talk about it.
Okay.
So off topic for 2 minutes. Make it 3.
Clock starts now.
I confronted Zim about how much money he's dumping into his park. I know it's going to be somewhere close to $1 million. That's a lot of money for a park that size. And where it's located. It's not, in Winter Garden, Florida, where there's lots of tourists and lots of business and money and people coming. It's not that kind of area. It's a rural area, and Otter Creek itself is not a draw. It's not a big draw. There's no one coming from out of town to visit Otter Creek, outside of Tubetown. I mean, there's no vacational, touristy kind of draw there. There's just not. There's no business opportunities there. The water is crap.
The draw that people want to link it to is
Cedar Key, but it's 22 miles to Cedar Key. It's still a little far.
So for most people, if you want to be in Cedar Key, you're going to stay in Cedar Key.
So here's the point I wanted to make, and this is just me on a soapbox a little bit. I asked him, why didn't you just buy my campground? Of course, at the time, it wasn't for sale, but he goes, well, because your campground wasn't expandable. It was like 8 acres. He has 5 acres, and he's building on his 5 acres. So why wouldn't my 8 acres be big enough? I don't know. So the argument kind of doesn't hold water. Now, he has the 5 acres, and could he buy other land and develop it? Yes. Could it be part of the park? Not really, because he's bounded on 2 sides by 2 hard paved roads and the highway, so he really can't expand. And there's a church that stops him from expanding south. So he's in a square, and he's not going to be able to expand that campground. Now, could he build other stuff? Sure. But with my campground, he could have done the same thing. And he might have been able to buy the Martin's campground behind mine, which is adjacent to mine, which would have added, I don't know how many acres he has back there, 3 to 5 acres, maybe. And they could have been conjoined. So I don't really understand his argument. I think he could have got my turnkey campground much less costly and turnkey, in that it was already full and making money. However, he wanted his own campground. He was willing to pay a whole bunch of money for it. And
I was surprised he didn't buy it instead of you when it was originally for sale and you bought it, because
he could have
that was a
developed it.
stellar price
Yeah.
at that time. But that's way before my time in the town, so I don't know what was going through anybody's heads at that time, but I'm awful surprised that he didn't pick that up.
Yeah, I think Zim is wanting to upscale everything, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to look at your demographics, and he's upscaling outside the realm of what the demographics support. It's not a high-end area. It's kind of a lower income, downtrodden area that is rampant with meth and stuff going on in the town. So it's unfortunate. So now you're trying to bring in a Palm Beach caliber type resort into a downtrodden town, and it's just a huge vast of difference in what you're trying to do there. And I just, business wise, I think he should have toned it down a little bit, lowered his budget, and still got the income he was looking for. He's a good contractor. I'm not saying that, but I'm not sure he's got all his business principles in order. That's my little soapbox. That's my 3 minutes, and get back to the part on hand. I think he should have bought less of a campground or put less into it. But the location's not the best for what he wants. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's my personal opinion. But getting back to this scuffle in the town hall and everybody quit.
So everybody quit because he wants to block Travis's open air market, and that's pretty much must be illegal.
This is what he's thinking.
For him to do that, and that's why the people quit, because they didn't want to be part of something that's wrong.
And this ain't me talking, this has been said, and this is kind of what I thought anyway, knowing Zim and what he's doing with the campground, is he thinks that the things that, because he's seen Tubetown 1.0, and he's suspecting that what Travis has planned for Tubetown 2.0 is going to be unsightly for the guests at his campground, because it's closer proximity, and he's doing something that's going to be fun for people to come and visit. It doesn't necessarily, I don't think it's going to hamper Zim's campground at all, because people aren't coming to Otter Creek and then saying, oh, let's stay here. What they're doing is they're booking online. They show up to the campground and they don't know anything about the town really, about, around the campground. They're just booking a nice campground. They see it online, they book it, and they'll have a nice stay as long as they're there just, and you're visiting other areas. But they're not going to enjoy their stay, visiting the town, because there's really nothing to do in the town.
But if Travis's place would be such an unsightly issue, then why doesn't he do anything about all the meth head properties that look like a junkyard, and people illegally living in RVs on these properties right next to his RV park and all throughout the town? Because you have that one corner property that's right diagonal from Tubetown 2.0 right next to his property that looks like a junkyard, has always looked like a junkyard.
That's
with an illegal RV there for however long. Nothing gets done or said about that place.
Yep. And that guy was on the board. He's been on the board. I can't remember his name.
He's been on the board?
The one with the trailers that are stacked catacorner to Tubetown?
You're talking about Dan Shannon?
Dan
I'm talking
Shannon.
about Dan Norman.
Dan Norman. There's two Dans there, but they both have...
The other one is, those are mobile homes.
They're
not
mobile
RVs.
homes, but they're very old.
I'm talking about the junkyard with the illegal RV parked
Yes.
there.
Yes, yeah. That's
So nothing is done about that property. Then you have Lynette's property, which they don't say anything about that, didn't say anything about her living in an RV there. Matter of fact, when asked about the permit, they left it with Levy County because they didn't want to deal with her or the permit. So you overlook that property, you overlook this property, and I could go all around the town talking about the different properties that are overlooked unsightly messes, which is a whole different scale of what Travis does on the property with cutouts and games and stuff like that. These people have junkyards. So,
and it gets ignored.
I don't really understand the logic, if that is the case, of why he would want to block it, which I really don't know because he hasn't stated that, but that makes zero sense.
It has been stated, but not by him. But he wouldn't say that anyway.
And you just have throughout the town people living in RVs on different properties, and nobody says anything about that.
And the rule on that is a 14-day stay, and then you're supposed to move. You can move and come back, but you're supposed to live in a campground.
So the point being with all that is there's bias.
Yeah.
And you have apparent grudges against certain people for, I don't even know what reasons, because as far as I know, Travis has helped Zim out tremendously.
Yeah.
That festival that they had, the train festival, would have never happened without Travis.
If Zim had done that on his own, it would have fell flat on its face.
So I'm a little in awe that he's
Kinda,
treating Travis this way.
yeah, doesn't make sense.
I
He's
mean,
done a lot
Travis
for
is definitely not asking for any favoritism, but he's getting the complete opposite. He's not even being treated like everybody else.
him. Yeah.
And I have a huge problem when people do that and they go the other way with that. That is incredibly terrible. Like, and you're a leader of a town.
And Travis gave free promotion at Christmas in the Creek on his campground property, as we did.
Right.
Helping him support the campground and the festivities there. All were supporting his campground.
And I'm
'cause they were
sure
all right
Travis
there.
has also helped at meetings with setting things up and sound equipment, other things that aren't even talked about. But that's just,
So,
I'm wowed by it. In my opinion, people like Zim and Russell then should not be in any leadership positions if this is the type of activities that they engage in. That is not looking out for the best interests of your town. That's looking out for the best interests of you.
now let me ask you, Madam Mayor, going back, did you see these qualities in Zim when you were first getting to know Zim and possibly trying to get him to get on the board?
No, not when I was first getting to know him. Now, as time progressed,
As you
obviously,
were working there as a clerk,
I started seeing a few different things
a few
here
red
and there,
flags here
but
and there.
not large. Looking back now, you know, it's just like any other thing. When you look back into stuff, you're like, okay, well, I can see that now more of a problem, where at the time it was just like, you know, not a huge deal, but yeah, sad.
Another thing too, we're kind of jumping around because there's so much here.
I know I'm gonna have to start crossing stuff up because
yeah,
I'm gonna get lost.
because our notes are.
Go on.
I'll talk while she's updating our notes here. The stop work order. We actually in the campground received a cease and desist from the attorney Worm when Russell was there. It didn't have any bite to it because it didn't describe what the violation was. It didn't also give any detail about if we continued to work in violation of your cease and desist, what would happen. And those two things need to be on the notice. They need to say what it is you're doing wrong and what will happen if you continue. Neither of those two are on there. Now, in the case of Travis's stop work order, this is done by the town, and well, the other was too, but it was in a different round. But he was quoted a regulation. I believe Travis said it was about not having bathrooms, which I don't know why bathrooms are a requirement for an open air market, if you will. I don't know what he means by market, if he's selling food or not. But I don't think there's a requirement for a drive-by vegetable stand, let's say, to have bathrooms.
He was talking about like an open air flea market. I mean,
Flea
he
market.
specifically stated all these
Okay.
things in the town hall meeting. So I'm a little confused as to why Joseph Payne, who is the building official for Otter Creek, also the building official from what I know for Cedar Key, is terming it as a permanent anything.
Yeah, it's not.
So I think there's a disconnect between Zim and Joseph Payne.
And there's a disconnect between the town is supposed to have its own ordinances. So the ordinance violation that's stipulated on Travis's stop work order is a county regulation. It doesn't matter, county regulation. Yes, county trumps city, but city has the first look. It needs to have an ordinance in reference to what city ordinance you're violating and then what the terms are if you continue to violate it. The problem is they don't have enforcement.
Yeah, what are the repercussions? It doesn't list anything.
They don't have any because even the ordinance 14 is county, it's not city. So it's kind of irrelevant.
It doesn't jive.
It doesn't make sense. You can't use another district's laws as yours. Now, if you want to create your own, then you can do what Otter Creek does best, copy paste. But then you got to list your new ordinance, 2025-03, let's say, and then the attorney will read it, and then they'll vote on it, and then it becomes an ordinance. But it takes the whole town to vote, or not the town, it takes the board to vote on it, not just one person. Zim does not just get to say, oh, you're violating this county ordinance over here. You don't have any jurisdiction with that.
Well, that's another thing real quick that I'm a little confused about, because in Travis's video, Joseph Payne said he's gonna need to talk to the mayor about this situation. Wouldn't he need
That's
to
a red flag.
talk to the board?
The board.
Because it's not just the mayor of the town who makes decisions for the town, it's the board collectively that makes the decisions and does the votes at the public meetings.
Correct.
So I'm a little confused for that commentary of,
But he tipped his hand a little bit.
if Zim then is just making these decisions himself
Of course he is.
along, passing it along to the building official, and then I can see why people like the clerk and Belinda and Carl didn't want to go along when they may have heard that he's just taking these matters into his own hands and making his decisions, that is wrong. You can't do it that way.
No.
So, and those are things that previous Russell would have done with Worm and Albert Fuller,
Yeah.
and when he was blocking us from doing things.
Now he was
It's-
trying to use Albert Fuller to block us, but Albert Fuller was a little tentative in doing it because he knew it was wrong. He wasn't so proactive about trying to stop us. Like he didn't really dive in he didn't really say a lot.
He was probably just humorously collecting some money.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
But
Because he's not a bad guy, and I don't think he would do
he's not a stupid fella.
vindictive things to
He's-
get himself in trouble.
He's a smart fella there,
Right.
so, you know. But some of these people, and I'm sure Joseph Payne is not a stupid fellow either,
No,
if
I'm
he's
sure he's not.
been in this business for this many years and also doing stuff with Cedar Key, you know, he may be getting duped. So that's unfortunate.
How long will he continue to work with them if he's pressing issues that he really can't back up?
So,
I don't
and
know. We'll see.
another huge problem, which I've talked about previously, is the comments at the meetings being limited to only comments and not questions, and only things regarding the meetings or the town. So that means that you have to get on the agenda to talk about anything going on. That's ludicrous in my opinion. You should have every opportunity at the meetings to voice anything going on in the town that relates to you or anybody else in whatever form you want, whether it be a comment or a question.
Do you think, he's been saying that for a while now since he's been the mayor, do you think he was setting the table for things that he knew he was going to be doing that would be questionable later because he didn't want the comments about it? Such
Perhaps.
as Tubetown 2?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean,
When you look at it now, looking back, knowing what you know now, you're thinking,
it
wow.
may not have been particularly directed at that because Tubetown 2 wasn't a thing at that point.
Right.
But probably just knowing different things would be coming into play, and
Yeah.
more so knowing what your plans were going to be. It really probably didn't matter whoever else was coming into the line. It was just more of the focus of what you had in your mind.
This is where I give them credit. Good contractor, does quality work, but he's a forward thinker. Like, he tries to anticipate what may happen and tries to intercept it.
Any business person
Yes.
should be.
He does do that well now.
Any town leader
Right.
should also be a forward thinker, but it shouldn't be a forward thinker of your own agenda or your own
Yeah.
business plans. It should be of your town
Now,
as a whole.
Zim has been in that town for a while, and he absolutely would not be in the position of mayorship if Madam Mayor was not the mayor of that town and kind of helped set him up.
Well, I don't know any of that,
No one else wanted him in that position either.
but I do know that in previous stints of him being on the board, he's walked off the board before.
Yes.
And then didn't attend the meetings when he wasn't on the board.
Kind of what Russell does, right?
Those things don't look very well either.
No.
And there was a huge issue from what we were hearing when we first started talking to people in the town before running, was that people didn't like Zim or Russell as a leader for that town, and that they both had their own interests and their own agendas. So I didn't really know much about that because people didn't really get into specifics.
Yeah, because they're real tight-lipped about that.
Of the different things for whatever reason, but there was a lot of people that were adamantly against Russell and or Zim. So people were on two different sides, or they didn't like either one of them. There was a low percentage of people coming out to vote. They have all these open seats now. You have two open, is it two? Yeah, two open seats. Can't keep track now. And so at the next meeting, they should be picking new board members because they do have a listing up for letters of interest. So they can pick up new people.
It's real important here, and I can't emphasize this enough, and I'm sure you agree. The townspeople need to stand up for their town and take their town back. I cannot say that enough. Either that or unincorporate. You're not going to get whoever's mayor to unincorporate. You would have done it, but Zim is not ever going to unincorporate because he doesn't want to give up.
Well, it isn't up to the mayor.
Whatever. It's not, but they have to get it on the ballot. The only way to get it on the ballot is for it to come up in a board meeting and get voted on. But it's not going to pass by this board the way it sits.
But being that Russell and Zim are not good leaders for the town,
They're not.
I beg the people who care about this town, who live there, to put in your letters of interest and get on that board.
You don't have to be the mayor to stop the mayor.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be on that board.
All you have to do is read what is being voted on.
You don't have to be a good speaker to be on that board.
If he's...
You have to have the love of that town and the interests of that town in your heart. That's all you have to have.
The only way to stop him is to outnumber him on the board.
So get out there and put in your letters of interest. I hope that Belinda, gets on that board. She would be fabulous. I hope that one or two of the Hudson sisters would get on that board. Y'all love that town. You're beautiful people. Do it and stop worrying and being afraid of different things. Yeah. Like, you could make such a difference.
Yeah, and so many people have gotten on the board and walked off, and I don't think that sets a good precedence. So, Carl, I think that's one thing you may have done wrong there, personal opinion. I'd like to see you try to get back on the board. People have walked off and they're mayor. Zim has walked off.
But when you walk off and leave it in the hands of somebody who's doing wrong, it's just allowing them to continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah, you can stop them at the voting table. That's how you stop them. Get on the board.
So I hope and pray that people, good people, put in letters of interest and get on that board and take your town back, turn it around, and stop the foolishness that's going on. Because it's been going on for too many years, and you know that you can have good stuff and have a great town.
Yep.
Like, it perturbs me.
And right when things were going in the right direction, the drama was leaving the town, it was not being talked about that much anymore, and then suddenly...
And you know what's funny?
Zim creates all the drama.
Zim is creating this drama. He supposedly wanted all the drama to die down, doesn't want people in there recording, doesn't want to live stream the meetings.
Illegal.
The town should be live streaming the meetings.
Yes.
And you go and do all these things just to create more drama.
Well,
what do you think's going to happen now?
More people will be watching.
More people are going to be watching. More people are going to want to live stream those meetings. They're going to have the camera on Zim big time because he's creating some corruption and drama and things that shouldn't be.
We were living there. I can't count the number of times that we've asked him if he's going to get, a broadcast, a video stream, whether it be Facebook, whether it be YouTube, whatever, of the meetings, and he would hem and haw.
And unfortunately,
He wants it,
Jason
but he
left,
doesn't want it.
and Jason was getting this stuff going, which
He
I'm
was.
sure Zim didn't like that either.
Yeah,
But
probably
Jason
not.
was, for the short time he was there, he did a few good things.
Yes,
but
he did.
unfortunately, are they squashed now? Because I've heard they did hire a new clerk. I don't know who this person is. I've called
Nobody
there
knows.
for no answer. I've emailed for no response. So I'm not sure who this person is, who's the new clerk, and I don't know what their hiring process is anymore, or how they
I guess they don't
put
vote
out
on it anymore.
ads.
They just
Well,
pick 'em.
yeah. So I don't know how that works exactly, but hopefully this new clerk is there for the right reasons and
He
will
was-
do the right things.
He was lucky to come across a clerk to replace Belinda. They were lucky to get Jason. It looked like he was headed in the right direction.
And to have had Jason and Belinda, like that was great.
That was like the A team,
But
and now they got no team.
I just can't believe how fast everything has turned around.
Yeah, I really think Zim shot himself in the foot here. I think he's made a big mistake. Now, can he overcome it? Sure, he can overcome it by making some better decisions.
I'm wondering if Russell's going to start showing up at the meetings and trying to get back in there.
And look, we're not trying to blast Zim's character. We're kind of attacking his decisions because it's his decisions. Now, he's put himself in a spotlight by being a board member and by being a public servant. He's the mayor of a town that we're very familiar with, unfortunately. And so he is the object of either good or bad. So if we have opinions about him, as everybody does, we can voice those opinions because he's put himself there. He's opened that door. So we have every right to voice our opinions about his decisions. These aren't personal defamation attacks.
I mean, for my opinion, this is harassment,
Yeah.
no doubt, because you're overlooking the other things that people are doing in that town and how they're living and just focusing on Travis. Why? I really don't know. I scratch my head about that. The only thing I can come up with is he just doesn't want anybody there but his own interests.
And the way
I'm not really sure. That's just a speculation, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why you would try to knock out someone who's trying to do good stuff in the town.
and they need to get some ordinance written. I think they've written 2 so far that are very general in scope. They need to get ordinance specific to enforcement and some type of enforcement on these ordinances. They don't even have them written yet. So when you don't have them written, you can't enforce what you got.
I have no idea you wrote these notes.
Oh, let me see here. Okay. My notes say the town should provide a diagram for the power box. Yes, because when we went to the county with you had to get a letter from the town saying yes, and that was just for your residential commercial zoning. You take that to the county and you get your permit. When you apply for the permit, if you're going for an electrical permit, then they give you a schematic of a house and a pole, and it has all the dimensions of the power box. It has to be so many feet off the ground, and if it's going to a house, which that part didn't apply to us, but it shows everything. If you're putting a power pole next to a house, it's got to have I forget what it's called, the little head on it, the rain guard head, and the wires come down. You got to have that. You got to have so many feet to the box, and then you got to have the place for the meter to go, and then your breakers go in the bottom part, and then it's got to be so many feet off the ground to the top of the box, and then just like Travis alluded to, the grounding rod. Yeah, you got to have. It used to be when we did ours, you had to have 2 grounding rods. It had to be, I believe, it's 6 feet from the pole.
Slow down.
I'm sorry. And then another 6 feet, you had to do another one. So you had to have 2 in a tandem. Maybe they went back to just 1, but you do have to. You always should be checking those ground cables too, because they come loose and you hit them with the mower and stuff. So but they should be handing out a sheet. This is your power box permit. This is what you need to do. Once you get this done, if you're doing the work yourself, then come back and let us know. We'll set a schedule date with the inspector and he'll come out and check your box. That's how it's supposed to work. They're supposed to mentor you and help you. And this is where Zim could be good. He is a builder. This is what he does, so he's very familiar. I've consulted Zim on putting my power boxes in too. I had him come look at it and he would tell me if this or something was wrong, or you could do it like this. And I went with what he said.
Yeah, he always seemed very ready to help.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty shocked about all of this.
Yeah.
I did not, like I said, those couple little things I can look back and see and think, okay, that makes sense now. But at the time, it made no sense. And they were very little to have come to this full scale of a difference. I'm pretty shocked about it. I didn't see that coming from him.
Yeah, and these wiring diagrams, you can probably get them online, but they should have them and print them off as part of your permit packet so that you can see what's involved in doing it before you actually do it. But they should be more helpful, and they're not helping at all. All they're doing is they're throwing abstract ordinances that don't even pertain to the town, and then trying to enforce them, and they don't have any enforcement in place. If there's nothing in their ordinance books, which is your laws, then it's nothing. The fact that Zim says it's so, and it's not in writing, it means nothing. Nothing. It has no bite. It's just like when Russell tried to stop us and did a cease and desist, but didn't state what ordinances we were violating or what would happen if we continued.
But the difference then was that the county was still doing all the stuff.
Yes.
Now that that's not the case, it leaves the town with a lot of power to shut everything down.
Well, they can't really enforce it. So they can do it, but they're probably doing it illegally and they could be sued. Now, is it worth suing? On the face of it, I don't think it's worth it because you're talking about a whole bunch of money.
I personally would just keep doing
Yeah,
what I was doing.
because it's zoned residential. First off, now you've got more rights. You can do whatever, pretty much.
I mean,
you
that's
want.
that's what Levy County told us.
Yeah.
Way back when Russell kept harassing us. The county said, "You're doing everything right. Just keep doing it."
Yep. They told us you're doing everything right. Just keep
as
doing what
long
you're
as
doing.
you're doing the stuff by code. It's great.
Don't worry about whose feelings you're hurting on the way there.
So
You
that's
got
what
to-
we did.
Oh yeah. In regards to what here?
That's what you were talking about. So
Oh.
you tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that Russell hasn't caused more issues with this. He's been very quiet.
With what?
Well, he did try to cause Zim a lot of issues. He
With
did.
what?
With he would call water management and saying he's building in a
On his RV park?
yeah
Okay, thank you.
yeah on his RV park and
You're talking about too many things. You need to be specific.
yeah okay. So on his RV park, Russell was heavily involved in calling all these agencies to try to get to shut Zim down on building his RV park. So I can understand the frustration with Zim wanting to be on the board and be mayor, because then it's gonna, you still get harassed by these agencies because anybody can call them. Russell doesn't have to be on the board to call water management. Water management comes down, and Zim constantly complained about how many times he gets a visitor and he'd have to stop work and go talk to them, and everything's fine. It's just a whole bunch of this. Well, it's a low floodplain area, and he's building this and he's building that. This is just Russell doing this. Russell doesn't know. Russell hasn't built anything. Russell hasn't done anything. Oh, we want to talk about this too, huh?
You did.
Yep. So another thing, I kind of mentioned, because I just read the first line, I didn't read that second line there. So I have a question here, and I am so surprised this hasn't come up. And if you missed this, you missed a big one. This is the one I would have spearheaded He did this very early on. He did this before there were roads in there, before he had power in there. He put in a well pump, a well. Now, I don't know what the repercussions are with that, but at the campground, there was an old well. There was a pump head in the barn and an old well. And I was told I could not, he goes, you can't use this well, right? I was like, I had no plans to use it. He goes, okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Who's he?
I think it was the health department, or it could have been water management, but I think it was the health department. And I don't know what they have to do, but one of those two came out and said, you can't use, I almost want to say it was the health department. And I don't know what they have to do with wellheads, but I'm really surprised someone hasn't called possibly the health department to ask some questions about Zim's brand new wellhead. He has a brand new one there. Had a big old well driller there for weeks on end, so I don't know how anybody missed it. But if you're hooked up to city water, I don't believe you can go and dig a well. So what is he trying to do there? Well, I'm just using common sense here, and I don't know. But why would he want a well if he already has access to water? Well, that water he has to buy from the town. And the well water he doesn't. So it's free water for him once he gets his wellhead in, which he does. He already has it. So he could hook up washing machines to it. He could fill a pool with it. And those are nice, large water quantity things to do with it. But could he service RV lots with it? Could he be treating customers with untreated water? Could he be treating the water? All of these are questions. Why does he get to put a pump head there when he's on city water? That would be the question I would have. And I think it's a health department question. It could be a water management, but I think it's a health department question. Oh yeah, and he built two sides of this RV park, and I don't know if he permitted them separately or if he put them all in one permit. But he was trying to build things very quickly and try to get things opened up to get some revenue coming in so he could expand. So I understand that part of it. But he built one side of the park, which you probably saw in the Christmas in the Creek videos, but he had not yet developed the other side. But now I understand he has someone living on the other side. So do they have connections? Are they connected to sewer? Is that side even permitted? Those would be questions I would probably investigate. I don't know how you would go about that. I guess you'd have to go to the town clerk and say, hey.
Public records request.
Public records request, yeah. Yeah. And if they don't give them, guess what? Sue us.
I would imagine that there'll be a lot more public records requests on that.
Yeah.
By the people involved. I mean,
yeah.
I don't have any interest in it myself because I don't live there and none of this affects me.
Yeah.
But
the only reason some people are saying, why are you still talking about Otter Creek? Because we still have information.
Well, some people are mad that we don't talk about Otter Creek more.
Enough.
You can't please everybody.
You can't please everybody. Look, we do adventure videos and we might get 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 views. You do an Otter Creek video and you get 20,000 views. So
people are interested.
What are people wanting to
Creek.
watch? You do the math. $5,000 adventure video or 5,000 views or a $20,000
You're getting
Otter
no
Creek
5,000 views. What are you talking about?
After a few days, you might.
Okay, no.
Yeah, total. So yeah, and that's a good number actually. So no, it's not all about views. Primarily, this channel is doing what we want to do, and that's what we do.
I think it's about covering what people are interested in and asking you to cover, but without doing it to a point where you aren't happy. Right. It's a good mix of a lot of different things.
Throw it in, yeah.
Of what we like to do. I wouldn't want to be solely talking about Otter Creek day in and day out and oversaturating. I do believe there's enough channels doing that as it is.
It sure is.
And it's a lot to keep up with. I don't keep up with it. I don't know how anybody does, but I like to have a good blend, just like you should have a good blend in your portfolio of investments. You should have a good blend of videos of your interests. Mm-hmm. So that's why we do the estate sales, some Otter Creek, some adventures, because that's our life and it covers all the different aspects of our life and what we're doing. So if you choose not to watch different parts of it because you don't like it, that's fine.
Yeah.
I would not want anybody to watch anything that they're not interested in.
Right.
So I think it's just a good blend and a good mix without being too much. I'm sorry some people are disappointed that we're not more into the drama and talking more about Otter Creek, but for anybody's good mental health, I don't recommend it. So we have to do the good mix that keeps us happy as well as keeps most of the people happy, because you're never going to please everybody, and that's just life.
Yep. And Madam Mayor has a certain angle, having been worked as a clerk interimly as the mayor, she has and working with the county officials, she has a good understanding of ordinances, how they work, how they apply, and that's what we're trying to bring to the viewer, maybe a little better understanding than what others have been able to collect based on their experience. And Jeremy's not covering a lot of Otter Creek anymore either. He's done with it. So.
But I do think if you're going to be in a leadership position of a town, that you should have the town's interest top priority and not your own, and you should be guiding people to the right things and have a thriving community where people can share their ideas, come together, get questions answered, make comments, and
all comments, right?
all comments, whether they're good, whether they're bad, nasty or sad. But sometimes people just need to get things off their chest and vent. Sometimes it's going to be with profanity. When I was in management, I found that a lot of customers would come in, and if they had a complaint, sometimes they are just in your face with all these cuss words and carrying on, and I would just stand there and listen and hope that they got that off their chest so that when they go back home, they're not that way with the people they live. I can take it. I got big shoulders. Get it off your chest and go on with your day. But, sometimes some people just let things out in all kinds of different manners. And I just hope that after that, they go on with a smile and don't carry that around with them. So I never really minded if people did that. But apparently...
You got complaints at the post office? Really?
Mm-hmm. Well,
That's a joke.
People
There's
have
lots of complaints at the
lots
post
of people
office.
have a lot going on in their life, and unfortunately when you're in customer service, sometimes quite often you're gonna get people coming at you in an attacking manner just because they have a lot going on at home. Mm-hmm. So I try not to judge everybody by inexperience in time, because I've had people come in the next day and apologize because we all have our moments. We're all human.
The post office is just safeguarding and delivering the mail, but some people think that they should be caregivers too, I guess.
Okay, so enough said about the post office and customer service. I'm just saying we should all be graceful to each other and forgive people when they have bad moments, and also take accountability when you do have a bad moment. Mm-hmm. And, if you're going to be again in those positions, please be there for the right reasons, and hopefully something snaps in Zim's mind and he gets back on track and starts thinking about the town and not himself. I'm sad to see it going in this direction. So hopefully somebody with some good sense will have a conversation with him and he can get back on track.
And hopefully, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Hopefully people will put in those letters of interest. Good people, get on that board, make a difference, take your town back. That's what you were going to say.
That's what it was.
But
you can serve those two things at the same time.
Correct.
I think you can be the mayor of a town and
reel it in.
Yeah. I think you can serve your town and yourself at the same time and not overstep like we think he is overstepping here for sure. And it could hurt his business. So he needs to be kind of careful there.
So all eyes will be on the next meeting in August. And I forget if that's the 18th somewhere around there, third Tuesday of the month.
Third Tuesday.
We'll all be watching to see what happens, meet the new clerk, and see who's going to fill those board seats, and hopefully see things turn around for the town. Will Travis be there? I bet he will be.
I bet he is now.
So stay tuned.
Yep. Love you guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye.